Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. Today we're going to do our daily technical analysis update of commodities. We're going to work our way through the dollar, yields, precious metals, and commodities ETFs that I follow. I'm going to interject my financial opinions as we go through it. And if you need help with anything, check out finding-value.com. That's where I dive deeper into companies, sectors, and a lot of training on overall investment portfolio type stuff. So let's dive in and see what's going on today. Starting with the dollar, we still have dollar strength up the wazoo here, up another 0.17%. We've broken out of the downtrend line and it looks pretty strong to continue higher. We get a little bit of resistance right underneath us, which is going to act as support all through here. So you're playing with that. We broke through that to the upside, and now that is acting as support underneath us. Yields are looking really strong, and that's one of the drivers of the strong dollar. It's basically the comparison of monetary tightness between different currencies. And right now, the dollar has been arguably the strongest. The 2-year yields, we are up today, and it still looks good to go higher. And the reason I will say that is that we are above support, the support going across here, and we have some pretty large candlesticks like this guy here and not much selling pressure. So that's that stair step pattern that we see coming on up like this, and that hasn't reversed yet. The 10-year yield also up quite strongly today, up about 2%. We're closing at a pretty strong level. We've got support underneath us. Everything looks good for a continued move to the upside. And the 30-year yields also heading higher, up over 2%. So the long end of the curve went up more than the short end of the curve. And everything is looking pretty strong in terms of yields continuing higher. And again, that is generally analogous to inflation, debt problems, all of those things is what leads to yields going higher. The TYX TNX ratio, it has been moving sideways, and we are still at a very inverted level and is generally good for entry points into gold. And when this uninverts, that is when gold moves higher. So generally, when you get to a bottom, it stops uninverting. That's your entry point for gold. It can go either sideways or higher, anticipating a market slowdown and potentially more money creation, credit creation, and stimulus. Bond price is down a little bit, obviously, since yields were up. And that looks like it could continue until we see some sort of reversal candlestick, which we haven't seen yet. And then we've got the 2 and 10s uninverting, but it's doing it with yields going up. Gold up almost $28 an ounce. Surprisingly, pretty volatile day today. But this still looks strong. It still looks strong for a continued move up. And then silver also up 2%, mimicking what gold has done today, and still looks strong to go higher. So maybe some people got bucked off down here, got scared. Oh my gosh, silver could go down. But like some people say, you get these intraday corrections and then it just starts bubbling back up again. So short, swift corrections is maybe all we get. I don't know. We'll find out. But that's what we got today. Platinum down a little bit, but that's just a retest of the breakout. And looking at it from a weekly perspective, that's a bloody nose, which looks like we could continue higher. So again, we'll see what this week has in store for us. We're sitting on support. Everything still looks manageable for a move higher. Palladium also down today, about almost 2% down. And this does look like a bottom. It takes time, guys. This hasn't really based out yet. We're in that basing process. And it very well could go. It could rip if something occurs, but I think we're in a basing process. It might take some time. XAU to gold ratio, it did come back where the gold and silver mining companies sold off more than the underlying gold itself, or it didn't go up as much as gold. And it still looks good. It still looks like it's trying to bottom and work its way on up, so patience is required. CRB index working its way up a little bit. It still looks good to move on higher. This just looks like a continuation pattern that'll work its way on up. We've got the CRB to S&P 500, which is just ripping it in comparison to the S&P. So it does look good for commodities to continue its outperformance against the S&P 500. GDX down a little bit. It's not a huge selling pressure day. It looks to me like a continuation pattern right underneath resistance on GDX. That still looks good to go higher. GDXJ also looks good to go higher. Not much selling pressure. A small little down candlestick today, and everything looks good. We still have the breakout. A-OK. And SILJ, the same thing. Small selling pressure day to day. Nothing to worry too much over. Crude oil, crude oil looks good. Yeah, we were down today, but again, if this is going to sell off, we would be seeing, well, it's got a couple of selling pressure candlesticks here, but we would see follow through. There's no follow through. Today, it got bought back up, making me think that we've got some support where we get all these bottom wicks all there. See those wicks at the bottom of a lot of these candlesticks? So it comes up, gets bought up, bought up, bought up, bought up. So there's support there, which is good. So we'll see if we can get some traction to the upside here over the next few trading sessions. TTF gas working its way on up, surprisingly, up 2.3%, bouncing off support. Natural gas in America didn't fare as well, and we did pull back a little bit. We are in shoulder season. Shoulder season is between heating and cooling season. So we are in between demand for natural gas in America. XOP, yeah, you know me, down 1.6%. This does look like we're getting a little bit of a pullback here. A lot of the times what we see is on major support resistance areas, like the neckline here, you break out and then you do a retest. That is very common. So we could see some short-term selling pressure. And again, I don't know exactly the exact amount that it's going to pull back in. A lot of people will do fib retracements and all that stuff. They still don't know with a degree of certainty where exactly it will pull back. But it looks like we could get a pullback here in the short term, which we're undergoing. OIH is also undergoing a pullback. You're bearish piercing there. Now we're getting some selling pressure after a pretty big move higher. So it's pretty common for a pullback like this to occur. And if I were to make a guess, we could see something like this, like an ABC correction or something like that. Crop Physical Uranium Trust is also getting a pullback. Energy is getting a pullback in general. We'll see what type of follow through this has tomorrow. URA also selling off a little bit, down about 2.5%. We've got URNM selling off. It's back to support. We'll see if that support level holds. That's where we're at this moment. And URNJ a little bit above support, but still selling pressure going on. Higher yields. Solar does not like higher yields. This looks like it's ready to break down, which it's doing. It's broken out, and it doesn't look too hot. We could see further downside. Copper didn't care. It's up 2.6%, still looking quite strong, and momentum's to the upside after this breakout. COPX also looking quite strong. It's holding in there. We do have a bearish engulfing here, and we'll see if there's any sort of selling pressure there if we just consolidate sideways. But overall, momentum's to the upside. Lithium down a teeny bit. It's holding on with everything it's got. But again, some of these renewable sectors are very sensitive to interest rates, and interest rates are not exactly a tailwind at the moment. It's a definite headwind. REMX is the same way. It's a headwind with interest rates going up. We got the S&P 500. That does not look that great. That does look like we could fall further. And the NASDAQ doesn't look too great. Like I said, this was looking pretty toppy. You get into a corner here, you lose momentum, then you start throwing these big bearish engulfings all over the place, and then the momentum hits where you start to go down. So this looks pretty toppy to me for the S&P and NASDAQ. KRE, again, it doesn't like high yields, but it's holding in there given what yields have done today. Emerging markets don't like strong dollar and yields, pull on back, down 0.64%. We've got XHB, also home builders, not liking the affordability with those higher yields. And we are getting a sell-off here. Bearish engulfings are starting to show up, and we could see a pullback in the short term, maybe even the medium term. Moo is also pulling on back. For some reason, Moo is real sensitive to interest rates. But we did get kind of a breakout here, and this could be the retest. Let's continue to watch it. Iron ore looking strong, up a little bit, and this does look like a bullish engulfing bottom, so momentum's to the upside. Nickel down a little bit, but still working its way on up. I think it looks good. One of the things that we look for is a break of this closing here, which we do have a close above it, and we could be starting a new uptrend. Aluminum up 2.5%. We did lose a lot of momentum though throughout the day, so the momentum's coming back down, even though we gapped up in the morning. Momentum's to the upside still. Baltic Dry Index up 2.3%. We do have a bullish engulfing, which looks like it could head higher in the short term. We've got Newcastle coal breaking out. There we go. Coal's right there. You can see the little spot there. We can go out to the weekly and you might be able to see it. You can't really see it. But this does look good to go higher. Coal looks really good here. This is where I would be looking right now, is coal. And obviously, guys, you know the coal companies I like if you're part of the website. BTC down a little bit today, kind of following the overall S&P and NASDAQ. And this does not look good, guys. This is a big selling pressure move, not much of a bounce. So think of it as an inverted flag pattern that could potentially head lower, much like the NASDAQ and the S&P. Ethereum's got a similar setup. Big selling pressure, not much buying pressure, and then we could fall lower out of this pattern here. And that starts with the big, strong selling pressure moves. That's what I'm looking at. SMCI also looking a little bit, some selling pressure there, a little bit toppy. I think we could go lower. And then let's look at NVIDIA real quick. Yeah, that looks pretty toppy, guys. There we go. Bearish engulfing, bearish engulfing, bearish engulfing there. Showing up, distribution, and that does look like we could potentially head lower. We'll see if we get the follow through. So that's what I got for today, guys. Give me a thumb up for the content. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the website if you would like to. We still have the coupon code LEAP going on, LEAP. It is leap year. That's where the origins of that is. But overall, guys, commodities still look good, but the overall market does look a bit weak. And that weakness in the overall market could spill over into commodities and cause some selling pressure for a period of time, depending on what the sell-off looks like in the overall markets. But that's what I've got for today. We'll catch you next time. This is Finding Value.